China Prophecy Show is the third of 3 exhibitions that the museum has done under the umbrella of the idea of Future City 2021. As you can see, the 3 postcards from these 3 different exhibitions, the first one was called New York Modern, and it looked at New York as the idea of the city of the future of the 20th century, Future City 20, Future City 21, the 21st century. So New York Modern explored in this sort of black and white drawings of visionary architecture the American vision of the skyscraper city of the future, and this idea of the city of towers, a rationalized future city, we argued in the show, became the kind of realized vision that is now spreading around the world. And the second of the shows, Hong Kong, New York, Vertical Cities, explored how Hong Kong, as a kind of multi-level, multi-nodal city, realized the predictions of pedestrian bridges and highways and underpasses and separated rail, and of course a skyscraper metropolis that the New York visionaries had early predicted in the 20th century. So when we ask the question, what is the city of the future for the 21st century, we looked to China. And this series explores what is in fact built already of the future city that will become the Shanghai metropolis, even larger than the current one at 18 million people. Even larger, probably, buildings than the 101-story World Financial Center. This particular slide is an amusing throwback, and 1899 with this image projecting New York as a skyscraper city 100 years hence. This is a cartoonist, Louis Biederman, in the newspaper The World on December 31st in 1899. And I think you'll find a kind of visual recognition and parallel between the Manhattan, lower Manhattan of the dreamscape or nightmare, perhaps, of the overbuilding that would be realized in the technology of the skyscraper, in the same sort of area, same sort of physical expression in Pudong, the new zone, the new district of skyscrapers, which dates back only to the early 1990s. And it's this panel and then the 5 lectures that are represented by the various images that you see here over the course of the series. And there's a pamphlet of the series. I won't go into each one of the events other than to plug the Shanghai Tower lecture, which is next Tuesday night at the Asia Society. So we will have a number of locations, downtown, uptown, and the last of the 3, the last 3 of the series are at Baruch College, so sort of Midtown South. So it's a moving exhibition that tries to draw in a moving series that tries to draw in students and academics, as well as the architects, engineers, developers who have helped to create the Shanghai skyline that exists today, and we can talk about its future. I should mention one change on our program for tonight, because Timur Galen, who would be on the developer side of financing skyscrapers for Goldman Sachs, and whose experience goes back to the 1980s with some of the architects who are speaking here tonight, wasn't able to make it from Michigan back to our program tonight. So we have even more time that we've now used up with technical difficulties, but to see the presentations by the architects, whom now Bob Ivey, the editor-in-chief of Architectural Record, is going to introduce, as well as to give you some of his own perspective on his years of looking at the changes, the phenomenal rapid urbanization and modernization that you see not only in Shanghai, but across China today. So Bob Ivey is the editor-in-chief of Architectural Record, which is the magazine that has grown to become the world's largest professional architectural publication, encompassing both print and the web. I'm sure you all know it. He's a frequent spokesman for the profession, and he travels extensively for the magazine. In fact, it was really hard to catch him here in New York for this evening, and we're really very grateful that he's here. He's a particularly apt person to introduce our architects and this theme, because he established with Architectural Record about 3 years ago now a Chinese edition that's run out of Shanghai, and their attention to the building, and especially the high-rise development of Shanghai, goes back about a decade. He's also serves on the board of Tongji, the premier college and school of architecture in Shanghai. So I'm going to let Bob